I want to be very clear. I'm not saying, and I don't think Rick is either, that MLM organizations are cults. If you're going to a gym, it's not a cult. Why? Because you can leave. I mean, they're not asking you to sell your house and come stay with them. But the tactics, the techniques, the methodology they use are on a continuum of manipulation. Fair statement?
Yeah, I think that's very fair. What we see as cult-like is, for example, a group that puts a lot of pressure on someone, and there's a kind of peer pressure to conform, to submit, and there might be a leader who is not the classical cult leader, but who is using his or her charisma to influence people and setting themselves up as a kind of prototype. What you want to ask that leader is, are you open to criticism? Can you be wrong? And if that leader makes outrageous claims, and on the basis of those claims wants to make demands on you, you have to do due diligence. You have to go and dig in and drill down and find out if it's real. But I think what we're seeing in cult-like persuasion techniques that are being used more apparently everywhere around us is that these techniques work. It could happen to anyone. It can happen to the most prominent families. It can happen to very educated people. And so what we need to do is just kind of realize that this is around us and do our best to recognize the warning signs.
I think old sayings get to be old sayings because they're profound. Things stay around generation after generation after generation because they just ring true. And an old saying that if something's too good to be true, it's probably because it's just not true. And if there are these get-rich-quick schemes, everybody would be doing it. We really have to ask questions. And I worry about it in this divisive political environment we're in today with identity politics, where people are afraid to even ask questions for fear that they'll be shunned by friends and neighbors. If it doesn't matter which side of the aisle you're on, if you ask questions that make you unpopular, that's a problem.
I'm really troubled as a person who's watched destructive cults for many years, seeing that the word is becoming somewhat politicized, that one political party calls another party a cult, and this is becoming, a way of denigrating and putting people down. And I think what we should recognize is that cults are not democratic. They don't elect people. They have a leader. The leader is absolute and totalitarian, and whatever the leader says is right, and whatever the leader says is wrong is wrong. And that's not really consistent with the political party system that we have. So I think we ought to chill on using the word cult in political discussions. Could there be a political cult? Yes, but typically this is being used, I think, to denigrate political parties. And I think it's coarsening the exchange and discussion in our country. And I wish people would stop.
If you can leave and get your stuff and go home, if you can leave the exercise gym, if you can quit the company, if you can, I'm not saying it's easy, but that's a lot different. And the damage from these things can be really far-reaching. So be careful, be careful. Thank you guys for sharing what you've shared. I think you'll save people a lot of pain by hearing your story and staying out of it themselves. Do you have a story or a question for me? Click the link in the description and tell me what in the world is going on.